Good evening. Good evening. Hey, good evening, Sister Kim. We have to touch base sometime tomorrow so that we can get you prepared for Wednesday morning, right? Even if I show you just how to do a pre-record, and then we'll talk and get it worked out.
What you doing just sitting there, acting like you're scared and all alone? Can't you see the spirit's really moving? So get up out your seat and get your praise on. You see now is the
Good evening,
time
Sister Kim.
for you to catch the blessing. So open up your heart and let me in.
Good evening, Pastor.
All you got. Yeah. This is what you ought to do. You can stand for. I want to clap your hands, do you dance for me? This is what you ought to do. When you feel the spirit move, I want to clap your hands, do you dance for me? Now you wanna start moving, the spirit in the music, it got you into it. Now once you feel inside, you can't deny it. So
Good evening, Minister G. Good evening.
wow, you got the chance now. Open up your heart and let them in and give what you got. This is what you ought to do. You can stand. I want you like your hands, do your thing for you. This is what you ought to do.
Hey, Minister G, number 2 of my side, and Baby G. Good evening, Pastor Peoples. Good evening, Auntie. Good evening.
Open up your heart. Feel the spirit. Feel the spirit.
Good evening, Mr. Slade. Good to see you. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Sister Alex. Good evening.
I want you like your hands, do your thing for me. Yeah.
Oh, we did. Trust me. I only got 4 hours of sleep, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Working off fumes right now. Good evening, Brother Matt. Good evening.
This is what you ought to do. I want you clap your hands.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Monday Night Manna. This is Elder-elect, Minister Wheeler. I was going to say Minister Wheeler. Elder-elect Wheeler, Minister Wheeler, Ed. I'm here tonight to welcome you here to Monday Night Manna, where our senior pastor here at Micah 7 Ministries is our own Reverend Dr. Nicole B. Simpson. Our associate pastor is Reverend Dr. Angel Thompson. Our leadership team, our ministers, all our deacons, every lay person that is associated with Micah 7 Ministries, I welcome you here tonight to Monday Night Manna. That was Get Up by G.I. Needed that song today because I needed to get up. Had a great time with my sisters last night. I only got 4 hours of sleep, so I am running on fumes today. So again, as I always say, I got a long way to go, short way to get there. I want to get myself, get the word in the way so I can get myself out of the way. And so tonight, good evening, Sister Aisha. Good evening. So tonight we're going to John chapter 9, taking a little detour from Jeremiah because God just put this in my spirit. And like I said, mostly 99%, 999 of my words that come to me is for me first. And so I just tried to share them as a testimony because we are all, you never know who is blessed by your testimony, who's struggling through the same things that you're struggling through. And so tonight I'm going to John 9 1 through 6. I'm going to be reading out of the New Living Translation. Good evening, Deacon Duhart. Happy birthday again. And so, as you can see, it's scrolling across the bottom if you need to find it. John 9 1 through 6. And so it reads, as Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents' sin? It was not because of his sins nor his parents' sins, Jesus answered. This happened so that the power of God could be seen in him. And we must quickly carry out the task assigned us by the one who sent us. And I want to hone in on that verse. We must quickly carry out the tasks assigned us by the one who sent us. The night is coming, and then no one can work. But while I am here in the world, I am the light of the world. Then he spit on the ground, made mud with the saliva, and spread the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam. And Siloam means sent. So the man went and washed, and he came back seeing. Good evening. Good evening, Minister Lee. Good evening. And so I find it fascinating. Good evening, Sister Tiff. I find it fascinating. One of the fascinating things that I find about God is that when it comes to me, when I'm wondering, like, God, am I close? Am I pleasing you? God usually responds to me, and I don't know if this works for everyone else, but he usually responds to me by showing me something that either I'm doing wrong or something that I'm not doing. And it may not even be something bad, right? But he will definitely convict me on something that might be stunning my growth or preventing me from getting to that level of pleasing him that I need to be at. And so in essence, to me, that's an answer from God, because God chasing those who he loves. We learn that in Hebrews 12 and 6. And so just like, we chasing our children because we love them, we're trying to correct them and we want them to be better. And, parents that look like, that don't look like this, but, look like this, I've heard say plenty of times, like, if I didn't care, I would just let you go out there and just do whatever. I know my mom always said that. So God answering me is showing me, where I'm weak. He's actually answering my question of, am I pleasing him? To me, this is my interpretation. And it's like him saying to me, yes, you're pleasing me, son, but you could please me a lot more if you would get this thing out of the way. Because if God didn't care about what I was doing wrong, he just wouldn't respond to me at all. He wouldn't give me a word. He wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't chastise me. He wouldn't convict me, right? And sometimes sin or disobedience aren't the only things that keep us separated from God. Those are the obvious things, right? Sin, disobedience. Those are the type of things that we see that are obvious. But things like pride, things like contentment, things like unaddressed anger, things like offense, right, which is a big one, right, are the quiet things that stops us from connecting with God. And if we don't acknowledge them, then if we don't acknowledge them first and then do something about them, we can find ourselves in a state where we're getting blessed, but we don't have any real movement. We don't have any real power. And sometimes I feel that way. And so for the last couple of weeks, months, whatever it's been, I've been on my knees and I've been seeking God and letting him know, that I acknowledge your blessings, God. I know you blessed me. I acknowledge the favor. I acknowledge the grace and the mercy, but I still feel like my gear is stuck in neutral. And I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm preaching, I'm teaching, I'm doing Bible studies, I'm doing Monday Night Manners, I'm fasting, I'm living right to the best of my ability that I know how. And so, God, why do I feel like I'm stuck in neutral? Like, and because God chasing those he loves, he answered me in the middle of the night and he gave me this word about this blind man. And so I wanted to share it because he was showing me why I was feeling stuck and how I can free myself up. And so I feel like maybe someone else is feeling stuck, and maybe they can feel free from what I learned from this lesson. And so when we look at our text today, it closely examines Jesus being the main person in the text, right? He's always going to be the center of attention. But there's only two things that Jesus does in this text. He speaks, that's one thing. And then the other thing is that he does the thing with the mud, right? So when you look at the text, everything else is being done by the man, right? And if we read that verse that I said that we need to set aside, we must quickly carry out the task assigned by us by the one who sent us. The night is coming when no one can work. And so Jesus specifically talks about the work that we must do, right? And we got to get a move on, because there'll come a time where we won't be able to work. And so that struck me as God, you know, and me asking God why I feel stuck. And he said, you're stuck because there's movement on your part that you haven't made yet. And so I'll explain it a little bit further. Isn't it weird whenever we see Jesus heal someone, it's like one and done, right? It's like, he heals and they're done, pick up your bed and walk. There's not much for the person to do but thank him, right? They don't really have to do anything. He does all the work. And, like I said, even with the lame man, all he had to do was get up and walk, right? Jesus did the hard work. He did the heavy lifting. When he told Lazarus to come from the grave, he just called him out, and Lazarus had to get up and walk out, right? That's all he had to do. So, he made the blind to see. Even the woman with the issue of blood, all it took was one touch, right? But today in this text, this man, and it blows my mind that Jesus didn't heal him immediately. Like, putting the mud on his eyes didn't do it. Just touch him. Like, Jesus could have just touched him and his sight could have returned. But he was healed, but he still couldn't see until he washed his eyes in the pool of Siloam. And that's the way I feel. I feel healed, but I'm still stuck, right? And it was something that the man had to do. There was action on his part that completed the process. And so Minister Grandy had painfully and eloquently shared this somewhat back about surviving a thing, but never really fully healing from that thing. And, just like a bone in our body that breaks, like if you break your arm, God forbid, but before they put that cast on, they have to set the arm straight, right? They have to set it the right way, because if they don't, it's going to heal in the cast. It will heal, but it's going to heal in a broken way, right? If they don't set it the right way, it's going to heal in a broken way. And that's something that'll preach itself, right? And that's kind of how I was feeling, but didn't know until God revealed this text to me. And so without going into detail about what I was going through, and I really want to focus on the revelation that God gave me. I've been struggling with a hurt that happened to me like long time ago, like maybe I was 5, 6, like through my childhood. And because I survived it, I assumed that I was healed. Like that broken arm that heals, the wrong way, right? I healed the wrong way. Just because it wasn't, I healed, and so I didn't feel any pain, but it was set the wrong way, right? I was growing the wrong way because I never fully healed. I healed, and because I didn't have any pain, I just thought, but I survived it, right? And so I was dealing with something that wasn't causing me any pain, but because it healed the wrong way, it hindered me from progressing. And so I got to a point in my life where I feel like I'm stagnant, and God brought this thing back to me. So I hope this makes sense. And so I discussed, I discussed this whole thing with those that are closest to me, of course, my wife, and I talked to my siblings about it. We went out to dinner Friday night. And even on last night, we had a long ride from Philadelphia, and myself and Minister Grandy, we just talked, because I can always talk to them and they can always give me resounding support of which way God is leading me, right? And they'll say, yeah, that is confirmed that you're doing this. And my sister and my brother brought it right out at the table, and it was like, yeah, that's why you're stuck, right? And so, and this is how I can be unstuck. And so it confirmed to me this word that God gave me. But Others are overcome by your testimony. So I thought it'd be robbery not to share this tonight. And so reading this text and getting a revelation, Jesus put the mud on him, right? Then he told him to go to the pool. But none of that changed his sight until he actually washed his face. Once that happened, he could see. But let's think about it. What he saw once he looked into the pool of Shalom, he saw himself. That was the first thing he saw when he opened his eyes after he cleaned himself, right? It's the man in the mirror, right? And so this was God telling me to examine myself, see myself. Like I said, it doesn't always have to be sin. It doesn't have to be disobedient. Sometimes it's pride that holds you back. Sometimes it's unaddressed anger that holds you back. And I'm a witness that offense holds you back, right? So God is saying, like, take a look at yourself, right? I did the healing already. I healed you. Yes, you survived it. But because of what I'm doing, but because of what I'm doing on purpose or inadvertently, it's holding me and it's causing this block that I now notice, right? And so I thought I was over it, but I'm not, right? And so now I'm on this journey to correct it. And the first thing that I had to do was release the offense. I had to release the offense. And I really don't know. I didn't know that that offense was there. You know, sometimes we have offenses and they're stifling us, and sometimes we don't even realize it. You know, I'll give you a prime example, and I'm closing. I had a neighbor, well, I have a neighbor that I've lived to for close, like he lives a couple of doors down, and for some reason, I'm offended by this neighbor. I don't, it's been so long that I don't even realize what offended me. And it probably was that he was being rude one day. Like I don't like rude people. That definitely offends me. And so I didn't know that sometimes when my daughter takes Major out, you know, this guy will play with Major. Like he sees Major, Major runs up to him. I never experienced that. And so one day when I'm taking Major out, Major runs up to him and he starts playing with Major, and I'm a ways off, so I see him saying something to Major, and because of the offense that I have for this guy, I was ready to like tear his head off, right? Like, what are you saying to my dog? Like, why are you bothering my dog? And then I had to stop and realize that he was petting Major, right? He was playing with Major, but it was the offense that caused me to jump to a conclusion because I'm offended by this person, right? And so I say that to say that when we're offended, it blinds us, like the man here in the story. And we can't even see what's right in front of us. What was in front of me was that he was being nice to Major. But because I was offended by him at some point, I couldn't see that. And so I had to learn to lay that offense down and to treat the situation with this neighbor as it comes. Like if you speak, I'll speak. If you don't speak, I won't speak. And instead of just being overall offended with him. But going back to our text, and I'm closing, if if we really want to be free of the offenses, of the unaddressed hurt, of the anger, of the pride, the text shows us three things that we have to do. And the first thing is that we get our sight back through obedience. The blind man couldn't see Jesus clearly, yet he obeyed his instructions, right? Now, this is a sidebar, and I know I'm trying to bring this home here, but I could not go over this. The sidebar is that I find it interesting that Jesus tells a blind man to go to the pool to wash himself, right? How would he know where to go? He's blind, right? And just in case you was wondering the same thing, I did some research, and research tells me that the Pool of Siloam sat at the southern end of Jerusalem, right? And it was one of the major water sources for the city, right? And so it was fed into by the Hezekiah Tunnel, which brought water from the Gihon Spring, right? So that means that they're calling it a pool, but it's really like a lake, right? It's a moving body of water. And so the other thing that I noticed is that when you lose a sense. I've heard that when you lose a sense, like if you lose your sight, your hearing, your taste, your touch, it all becomes magnified because you lost a sense, right? So the Bible doesn't say this, but based on the information that the pool itself or the lake, uh, about the pool, you know, or the lake, and the fact that you lose a sense, that when you lose a sense, other senses increase. I would surmise that in my own isogenical way that he couldn't see the pool, but he knew where it was just by hearing it. So he could walk right to it, right? So that always bothered me, why Jesus tells a blind man to go somewhere where they can't see. But I digress. But getting back to our sight through obedience, Jesus told him to go wash in the pool of Siloam. There was nothing magical about the mud or the water. The miracle happened because the man trusted and obeyed Jesus' word. He didn't gripe when the mud didn't do the trick. Most of us will gripe right then when Jesus put the mud on their eyes and say, well, I still can't see. As a matter of fact, now it's worse. Like, well, you can't be worse if you're already blind, but you know what I mean, right? He's already blind. Blind is blind, right? But I really can't see now because I got mud on my face, right? But this man obeyed because all that mattered to him was getting his sight, right? Right now, all that matters to me is getting unstuck. So if God, you tell me I have to do this or I have to do this regarding this situation, I'm going to do it because all I want to do is be free. You have to be you have to be obedient. The second thing that I learned in this text is when we wash, we remove what was blocking our sight. That's a simple one, right? Jesus placed the mud on the eyes on the man's eyes, but mud, like I said, normally blocks your sight, right? But when the man washed in the pool of Siloam, the mud was removed so he could finally see. Washing means exactly what I said earlier. It means cleansing yourself of pride, washing away the unaddressed pain, washing away the hurt, cleansing ourselves from offense. That's where I'm at in this process, trying to cleanse myself of the offense and do what I'm supposed to do so that I can be free, so that I can always see. And the final thing that I learned from this text is that washing can change your identity and eventually our lives, right? Before the miracle, the man was known as the blind beggar, right? He was known as the blind beggar. But after washing in the pool of Siloam, he could now see, right? Which means that now he's independent. He's not dependent anymore, right? Now he can go out and get a job because he can see. Now he can feed himself. Now he can do all these things. So that title of the blind beggar, it goes away, right? He doesn't have to beg anymore. So the washing didn't just change his eyesight, it changed his identity, right? You can go from unhappy to happy. It'll change your identity from angry to empathetic, from prideful to remorseful, from offended to unbothered, right? When you wash yourself of these things, it'll change who you are. And I'm praying that this is the reason God gave this to me so that I can go from being stuck to being 100% free. You know, it's time for a new life. I mean, God healed you, yes, but there's something else that you need to do to complete the process, right? You know, have you been obedient in this process, right? Have you washed to remove what was blocking your sight? And have you realized that washing can change you as a person? Or are you growing broken? Like I said before about the broken arm. Because if you're growing broken, you might have to be reset and healed all over again. And yeah, that's gonna hurt. But after a while, the pain is gonna subside. And not only will you be healed, but you'll be healed correctly. It starts with the man in the mirror. After being blind for so long, make sure that you get your sight. When you get your sight back, the first person that you look at is you. Father, I thank you for this word, God. God, I thank you that you love me enough to chasten me. You love me enough to convict me, God. Even when I think that I'm doing right, I think that I'm praying, I think that I'm fasting, I think that I'm bringing your word, I'm being nice to people. And then you said, no, son, there's still something that you haven't addressed. There's something that's blocking you from moving forward in my word. And I need you to handle this. So, Father, I thank you for the revelation of the blind man in the pool, God. I thank you that I need to be obedient to your word. And whatever you tell me to do in this process, God, no matter how much hurt it causes me or embarrassment or uncomfortableness, I will do it because uh, uh, all I want to do is see right, God. All I want to do is be right, God. And God, I thank you for giving me the revelation that once I wash my eyes, God, I can see. Once I wash myself of the hurt and the pain and the unaddressed anger, God, that I can be good with you, God. And then finally, I realized, God, that once I change, once I wash and get myself rid of all of that stuff, God, that you are changing who I am as a person. I can be free. I don't have to be unhappy. I don't have to be stuck. I don't have to be bothered. I can be unbothered. So, Father, I pray for each and every person here, God, that is going through this situation, God, that has something that is unaddressed, God, that they have not even realized that is there, God, that you will reveal it to them, God, and let them know that you are always on our side, God. Father, I ask, Lord, that you will be glorified, that your people will be edified, and that the works of the enemy be nullified. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Thank God. Amen and amen. Listen, y'all, I'm trying to go from being stuck to being totally free. 100% free. And this episode of The Man in the Pool of Siloam just opened my eyes literally to something that I had been suppressing for a long time. And God said, you're not going to be free until you address it, until you do something about it. And being offended is not helping you. And so I digress. You guys know the drill. Tomorrow Doc will be before you. Wednesday morning, we have a special treat. Our own sister Kimberly will be before you. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be taped or live, but she and I will get together tomorrow, and I will try to help her get herself together so that she can present on Wednesday morning. Wednesday night, Doc will be delivering Bible study. Thursday morning, our own Minister Dre, and then Friday morning, our own Minister G will be coming before you. Happy birthday to everyone in the month of March. Happy birthday to our own brother Deacon Duhart. It was just yesterday. And last week, I believe it was also Brother Kyrie. I believe Sister Jazz is either has happened or it's coming up. But also, I'm not going to be before you yet, so I want to say a special happy birthday to my sister from a different mister, my my road dog, my ride or die, my TFF partner, Minister Grandy. I love you to death. I thank you so much for just your candor and everything that you've done for me, and I want to publicly say it before everyone that you are definitely a light in my life, and you always tell me the truth. You always tell me about myself. And I appreciate you. That I appreciate that friendship that we have, and I appreciate your obedience to God some 40 years ago, right? I thank you, and I wish you the happiest birthday. Of course, I will see you on your birthday, but I won't be online. Also, I want to say happy birthday to our own Minister Lee, because I probably won't be online for him as well. So happy birthday, Minister Lee. Love you to death, bro, as well. I love you guys. Up next, our own our own Sister Tiffany will be before you next week. Love you guys, and remember, there's other things other than sin and disobedience that can keep you from the will of God, and you must address it. Open up your eyes and see yourself. Love you guys. Talk to you later.